as you can see, we don't have any other signs up here except for this street sign. And today, we're going to be talking about street names. What is it? Through this, we're going to discover Christ by looking at street names, okay? And you're probably thinking, what in the world does this have to do with God? Well, hopefully by the end of this, you'll understand. These days, we have so many places where people can find us, right? They can. We have our mailing address. How many of you use your mail still? Not very many. No wonder you guys never answer anything I send out. Okay, we have our street address. Is your street address pretty important?
I live on North Main Street.
Okay. Yep. How about our email address? Anybody still use email?
Yeah, Facebook.
Okay. Okay. Maybe you got a Facebook account. People can find you there. Or maybe a MySpace. Maybe even Twitter. I'm on Twitter. Look me up sometime. AIM. Does anybody remember AIM?
Oh, AOL Instant Messaging.
Yes. Joel, do you remember AIM?
Yes, I do.
And Paul and Misty?
I used MSN once.
Oh, AIM was back when we were in high school. So that's a thing of the past now. They still have it. All my friends are gone on it. They're not on anymore, so it's sad. Well, we also have our phone numbers and texting, and the list goes on. There's lots of ways people can find us, right? But what is it that is truly important when it comes to finding your quote, home? What is important when it comes to finding your home? What matters? The only thing that you can get you to your home is your street address, okay? So, I mean, you can be found in a lot of those other places, but if you don't have a street address, you don't have a home. All right, so today we're going to look at what it means to truly call home. All right, how many of you can recite your home address? Okay, hopefully all of you, or you're all going to be lost on your way home tonight. How did you learn it? Real quick, how did you learn it?
By going to the mailbox and getting mail.
Going to get your mail, Lacey? It's on the front of your house. It's hard to miss. Lainey?
We had to write it down in a class, my brother.
Okay, so you had to, at school they made you learn it, so you had to memorize it. Jared? Your mom made you memorize it. Why did she make you want to memorize it? Yeah, you need to know your street address so people can find you, and you can find your way home. Okay, hands down. What can you guys do with your home address that you can't do without? Can you do? I mean, you need your home address for a lot of things, right? If you sign up for some kind of magazine, or you're wanting something you ordered, maybe you ordered pizza. Maybe you need to get, maybe you ordered some kind of new game. It has to come to your street address. So you need to know where your home is. Or 911. In an emergency, they need to know where you're at. Okay? Stay with me here. So see, once you've learned your home address, you're able to do so much, right? Guys, please pay attention. Okay? And that's why we learn it very quickly. It's something we learn when we're young. Because it is vital to be able to find your way home, to survive, and in special circumstances. So, if it's this way with our earthly homes, the homes we're at here, where we live in each night, wouldn't it be the same with our eternal homes? And some of you are probably asking, what is my eternal home? Does anyone wonder what that is? Bingo. All right. So how do we find our heavenly home? What was that, Lainey? You have to ask Christ in your heart. See, the only way to find our home address is through somebody who's been there, right? You see, God sent His Son on this earth to die for us, but He also left instructions on how to get home, to get to heaven with Him one day. And so that's what we're going to look at. So we're going to look at Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through 25. And you guys might have heard this story before. And if you have, just pay attention along with me. If you want to look at it in the Bible, you're more than welcome to, or just read it on the screen. If you haven't heard this story before, I beg you to pay attention and to really dive into this, okay? So listen with me here. Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had and set off for a distant country, and there he squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to the fields to feed the pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, 'How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' And so he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son. He threw his arms around him and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you, and I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' And so they began to celebrate." Have you ever been lost? Have you ever felt like the world was closing in on you? Now, I think that might be what is going on in the head of this guy here. Okay? He has left home, and in doing so, he has, in essence, told his dad to die. That is what he told his dad. Because what he did in asking him for his inheritance was just that. He was telling his dad that he was dead to him. He no longer wanted any part of his dad's estate, his life. He told his dad, "Give me the money that I'm supposed to get when you're dead, because I want it now. You mean nothing to me anymore." He then decides to head out and to have fun. Now, who here wouldn't like to just go have fun for a few months without a care in the world? Sounds pretty good, right? The thing is, money doesn't grow on trees. And that's what this guy found out. He found out, hey, that inheritance is gone. And now there's a famine. I don't have a job. I don't have any food. I'm going to die. So he lends himself out and to work, and he just finds out there's nothing for him there. So, verse 17, when he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants has food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of the hired servants." So he got up and went to his father. So, I ask you, what do you do when you find yourself in a situation that is of your own making, and the only place you have to turn is home?
Go home.
You go home. Where else do you have to go, right?
No place like home.
There's no place like home. Now, he wasn't expecting anything but ridicule from his father, right? You know, what would you expect if you'd done what he'd done to his dad? You wouldn't expect him to be very open to you coming back, would you? In every right, his father, as soon as he saw him, had the right to kill him there on the spot. That's the right he had for what he'd done to him. But that's not what happened, is it?
You could have killed him?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
You see, he was just hoping to get a job. That's all he was wanting. And so he figured that was better than starving to death. So he went back to face his father and the ridicule from all his family and all the servants for what he had done. So he is being very humble at this point. He has been humbled. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, and he threw his arms around him and kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But what happened? His father was waiting for him. And nonetheless, he runs to his son who has been gone. Now, this may not be that astounding to you, but let me let you in on a little secret here. Back then, men did not run. They did not run. It was a cultural thing that they walked where they went, and if they ran, it was very undignified and very disrespectful for them. So they would never run anywhere. But he sees his son off. The thing is, he was looking for his son. That whole time he was gone, he was looking off in the distance for him. He was waiting for him to come home all along. The son, he didn't deserve that at all. He didn't deserve one penny his father gave him for what he did to him. But his father is waiting for him, looking for him. When he sees him, he runs to him. Now that is an amazing thing. Do you guys realize that you have a father who is waiting for you to come home? Now you see, God is the father in this story. This was a parable Jesus told. And each of us are the son who has taken what our Father has given us so graciously and wasted it. We are that son. Now, we've wasted the gifts He's given us. We've wasted the talents He's given us, the family He's given us, the opportunities He's given us, the time He's given us. The list goes on. We waste so much of our lives on things that don't matter. We do. Yet when we turn around and start towards home, we find our Father, our Heavenly Father, running towards us to pick us up and to carry us the rest of the way home. That's the Father we have, and He is pretty awesome. In John 14, 1-4, we find Jesus telling His disciples, "Trust in God, trust also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms, and if it were not so, I would not have told you. I am going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going." God, listen up, God has a home for us. And Jesus said that He is going to prepare a place. He said that when He was here on earth. And when the time is right, He will come back for us and take us home. Christ is the only way we can get home. He's the only one that knows the street address that heaven is on. If you could even say it has an address. No. But it's just part of the metaphor here, okay? Work with me. Luke 19:10 says, "For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." He came here to bring you home. Each and every one of us. That was His mission. That was His goal. To call us all home to Him. John 14:23. Jesus replied, "If anyone loves me, he will obey my teaching. My Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him." Our home is with God. That is where we are meant to be. That is where we will go one day if we put our faith and our trust in Him. He is longing for us to come home, just like that father that was waiting for his son. So, why is it taking us so long to turn and put our faith and trust in Him? The reason knowing your street name is so important is that in order to find your way home, you have to know where to go. God has given us a map to find our home in Him. It's the Bible, and it's Christ. It tells us how God is waiting for us. All through those scriptures, it tells us of a God, a Father, who has come to this earth to find those children of His that are lost and that don't know Him, and He wants to bring them home. That's what that Bible is about. It is about a Father who loves you and wants you to come home. God is waiting for us, for you. Now, He's opened that door, and He is ushering us into His presence. So let me ask you again, what street do you live on? Do you know your address? I sure hope you do. Because there is only one address you need to memorize, and that is God's address. He can put that in your heart if you let him.